Right. Now, ideally, I told you like when we are developing the interface part, especially the web interface, we use the language called hypertext markup language. In short, we say HTML. And what we use HTML to describe the structure. When I say structure, okay, what are the titles? What are the paragraph? What are the images? What are the videos? Like whatever the elements that we are going to have, we use that to explain the structure. Now, let me show you a website first. Maybe I will visit to CNN website. So let me share their website to first understand what I mean by structure here, right? In this particular case, you can notice that, so when I go there, so it looks like this. So you can notice that, for example, CNN, the new news website, you can see there's upper, we have a bar. There are some interactions you can notice. There are like, menus, links, even you can watch things, listen things, live TV, and even you have buttons to log into the system. Then you have, header text. Then you have images. Still, you can see some interactions here, right? So various different elements, there. And there's a structure that you can see. You can see how they have a structure. Main ones are in the top, the leading news, but then also you have brief ones in the down. So there's a structure actually defined, and for that we will use HTML. So basically we can use HTML to create the structure of the a website, right? And that's exactly what we are going to learn today. Going back to the slides again. So we can say that the HTML elements are the building blocks of the HTML pages. So when we say the different elements that we have observed in the CNN page, so that we can define using various different HTML elements. And these are represented as something called tags. We use a term tag here. The tag means we can actually label the information. Now, for example, we had headings, we have paragraphs, we have tables. So we can use tags to say that, okay, this is a heading, this is a paragraph, this is a table, and we can say this is an image and so on, right? So these tags are not visible to us. Browser will not show anything here, but browser will use to show this to us. We call render the content. Okay, so going back to how the HTML element look like, it's like this. So when we create a page, we have to type these tags. I told you like we have elements for header, we have elements for paragraph, we have elements for table and so on. So ideally what we have is we have element name, we have this is a tag name actually, we call open tag, and you have a close tag. So you can see element name is here, and then it will end with the slash here. For example, headers, we have H1 to H6. So for example, the level 1 header we call H1. So this is the starting, this is the ending. So ideally what happens, this will show you the level 1 heading. So Black Goose Bistro, this piece of text is shown as a header, a level 1 header. So this could be a text, this could be other HTML, there could be many things inside. So simply you can think, oh, okay, you can have a, some text here, and how they should be rendered or how they should be displayed is described using these elements. Or we use the term text. Okay, so let's start with the basic, document structure. So ideally, when you start looking at HTML page, So these are the HTML elements or the tags we have used, right? So you can notice various different elements are here to describe the content of a web page, right? Let's start with the beginning. You can notice that we have exclamation mark. So we call doc type and it says HTML. So this is something that you normally see um, uh, in HTML5 version. There were different versions earlier, but the latest version, ideally, this is how you should, type it, right? So simply the first line here, the doc type HTML, will describe the document type is HTML, and this is version 5. And then you can have HTML. So here we have HTML. So that is the any HTML document will start with HTML and then when end with HTML. Ideally, you can have other attributes like language and you can say English. So that can come here. But in simple ones, it's simply we have HTML and then we denote the end of this using /HTML. Right. Now, any basic HTML document, you can have two parts. We have header, you can see head part here, head, and we have a body part. Now, ideally, head means what? It contains something called meta information. Meta information means this will not normally displayed. Like, for example, we will say here that we are using Unicode characters. UTF-8 means Unicode characters. But this will not display to the user normally. And nothing to display on the page. But we can use to describe the title of the web page. We call page type. Whatever we want to display, we should be including inside the body part. So for example, here you can notice we have body/body and we have a hello world. This piece of text is displayed, right? Okay, so I think that's the main thing that we will see. Uh, I think I have explained this one as well. This is called meta. And the character set we say we are using character into a UTF-8, which means we can include any, Unicode characters. It's suppose more characters, right? Okay, now let's create a page. The same thing, let's type it and we'll save and display and observe what is there, right? So let's start. For the time being, I'm going to use Notepad, but any text editor, if you are familiar with like VS Code or whatever, could be used here as well. Right. So let me take a Notepad. The particularly why I have used Notepad is it's available everywhere. And the other one is the one thing is it's available is everywhere and without any issue. And I think as a beginner you might have to familiar with the basic you know text processing or using editing. So the simple tool that I can use is Notepad. Right. Now, there's a question in the chat asking whether the HTML, whether they are the same or not. Ideally, when I say elements and the tag, they are related, but there are slight differences. When I say tag, it means we are using, going back to my um, slide again. So HTML here is a tag. Ideally, when you say a tag, you have a angle bracket. So here we have HTML. Then this is called open tag, and then this is called close tag. Ideally, this is what we call tag. But then when we see an element, then the complete thing right now. For example, here, going back to here. So when I take this is called open tag. This is the tag. But when I say element, it's everything, right? You can notice here. So it's the whole thing. So it describes this is the element. So you can notice here, it's the element and this is the tag. So I hope now, Savindu, you got the idea about the difference between the tag and the element. And thanks for asking the questions anyway. Going back to the creation of the page. So let me share. Okay, I'm going to select my whole screen. So you can now notice that I have used Notepad. I'm going to type the code. So ideally, you can type the same. A few things. Ideally, when you say doc type with exclamation, usually you type in caps lock. We say doc type and then we'll say HTML. I explained this earlier, that this will indicate that this document is HTML or HTML version 5 document. Then we have the HTML, which is the main tag. This will indicate that the start and end of the HTML document. Now, within this, we can have two parts, that is head and then body. I explained that whatever we type within the head is usually not displayed except title. But whatever we type inside the body will be displayed. So that's why I said, I put some spaces to indicate that, okay, head and body is within HTML. So within head, we can have things like various meta information, which is not displayed. For example, one is character set. We'll say UTF-8, right? And title. Title usually displayed. This will be displayed as a page title. So I will say page title. Right. And within the body, I will just type hello. Right. So I'll copy paste this in the chat so that you can save some time without spending time on typing this. You can simply copy paste. And the next thing that you should do is we have to save this as a HTML file. Now, if you're using a notepad, you have to be a little bit careful. So I'm going to choose save. But when you're saving, right, I will go to the web page. Sorry, my folder. You can choose any folder you want. I will go to my course folder. Right, I'm going to create a new folder, 2025 and 26 to indicate your batch. And then when you type the name, remember, use double quotes. And then you can type whatever the name that you can use. So I will say page 1, indicate that this is my first page. I will say page 1.html. You can type any name, but make sure that you put a dot and HTML and enclose with double quotes. This is something that make sure that you use double quote for this. Otherwise, what might happen is it will be saved as a text file, not as a HTML file. Now, then you can click save. Right. And then when you open up the folder, so in my case, it's in inside the PES and my course folder. So you can notice that I have visited my page. So you can see here, I can see page1.html, and it looks like a browser now, right? You can see the Chrome symbol here, which indicates, let me double click it. So when I double click it, we'll get a page like this. So you can notice two places. You can see the title is here, page title. Remember the title that I have put here, right? So for example, yeah, I have used here the page title, and it's displayed here, top of the bar. And then in the body, you can see it simply shows me the hello world text. So if you're new to web development, so you can have a look at cssngarden.com, which shows you the various different CSS styles applied for the same HTML content. That part we of course cover in the uh, coming session. But if you want to see how they have written, you can always right click and you can click view page source. So for example, you see a very interesting web page, and if you want to see how they have written, you can right click on it in a Chrome web browser, and you can click view page source, and you can notice. So let me highlight. So what's there? So for example, you can notice that our very first one, this we have discussed. We have HTML here. Okay, it also have another property which called language is English. And this is head. There are various meta information, but we have discussed at least the first two. Put in the character set and the title. And that's the head part. And then we have the body part. Again, there are a lot of things that we need to learn, but you can notice, right? Body starts here. Right now, those who are new, you might not understand this, but that's exactly what we are going to discuss today. Right. Hope you get the idea. So let's get back to the slide again. Right. So I hope now you are very familiar. Thanks for raising your hands. So now we know that our task should be, we need to learn various different HTML elements. And we discuss, when you say element, it's a complete one. How do you use, right? So in this part, we are going to learn various different HTML elements and tags we use to describe the content in a web page. So right now we discuss about HTML, body, head, title. That part we have already done. And then we have created a simple web page, right? And we also looked at how to display, right? So I told you, like, you should see how others have developed this, looking at their various source codes. So that part we have completed. Right now, let's focus on how do you create headers as well as paragraphs, and simple use of you know uh, the word styles like bold, italic, and so on. And basically, we will try to understand this. Okay, so start with the first one. We will look at header. So for example, in this particular case, you can notice that we have H1 and H1. So ideally, we will use this to describe that this is the header, right? So this is what we are going to do. So first of all, let's learn the basics, and then we'll go to the element. I will describe here. So ideally, we use various different tags to describe different parts of the pages. So for example, we use H1 for heading, we call level 1 heading, P paragraph for paragraphs, right? And then sometimes, okay, so in this particular case, so far we have seen like two tags, open tag and a close tag, but there are some cases where we don't have any ending, right? So therefore, you can use BR, or sometimes you can also enclose using slash like this. So you might see some tags you have, we have tag pairs, open and close, and sometimes we have single tags like this. Next one is together with the tag, you can have attributes. What do you mean by attributes? Now, for example, now so far we have seen open and close tags like this, H1, H1. But then again, we can provide extra information. Like for example, in here, we talk about the tag called A, we call anchor tag. This is the one we will use to create a link in a page. And this href is a attribute which describe where to link. So in this case, it refers hyperreference. We are linking the University of Peradeniya web address, right? So ideally, one thing now we are going to understand. So you can have a tag, and then you can have an attributes. We can provide extra information how the tag should behave in a page, right? And then sometimes you have block elements, sometimes you have inline elements. These are the different types of elements we have. Block elements means you can notice that each block starts with um, a new line. So for example, when you use headers and the paragraphs, always when you use headers and paragraph, you will have a new line, right? But when you have inline elements, there's no new line comes in. I will explain, right? For the time being, let's try to understand there could be two types of elements, block elements, which start with a new line. Then you can have inline elements. So I will explain that in coming slide. Right. Then you can have empty elements. What do you mean by empty elements? You might not have any content. So for example, when you have BR, HR, meta, sometimes they might not contain any content, and simple, you can use directives. Right. Now that we have talk about the basics of the elements, so let's look at or try some basic elements and see and try to understand how we can use them, right? So let me start with that. So for example, let's start with the headers first. Now, headers, for example, can go from H1 to H6, which we can use to show different types of headers. Okay, so maybe I will open up my page, right? I'm going to save as with a different name because I'm going to, again, don't forget about the double quotes. And then I will say page number 2. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new page. So you can notice now here in my folder, now I have two files, page 1 and page 2. I'm going to double click on the page 2. Right. So right now, this is what I have. I have just have hello world. And then this is exactly what I have, page 2. So, but I'm going to change here. So in this one, I'm going to show you like use of headers. So I'm going to simply say, okay, H1, I will say header 1. By doing so, what I want to say here is this is a level one header. Maybe I will type like this. I will say level one header. What I mean by level one header, this is the largest font size we can take for the header. So I'm going to save this. This time I just say save, and I will refresh the page. And you can notice that I'm getting level one header here. Okay, maybe I will copy a couple of this. Okay, so I can say level two. So I'm going to say this is H2. And this is called level two header. So I'm going to say save, refresh. We have level two header. Okay, maybe then I can now change. Okay, I'm going to have 6 of this. So I'm going to change 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to have level 3, 4, 5, and 6. Here also we have 3, 4, 5, and 6. Right, save, refresh. Okay, so this is how it look like, the header elements. Right, maybe I can copy paste for you just to save some time. Put in the chat. Right, make sure you save with a different web page. Double click it, open and observe. Right, the next one that I'm going to explain is a paragraphs. We know that so any page you can have like more text. So therefore, I can type some paragraphs. So maybe I take some text and put them as paragraphs and show you like how it look like, right? So I'm going back. So in my web pages, so this is a page. I'm going to save as a key. Right, now I'm going to make it page number 3. Right, and I'm going to say save. Okay, right. So we can notice what we are going to do here. And let's take some text to explain you the how we can actually form paragraphs. Right. So this is my page 3. I have double click it and the loaded. So so let's use some text. Right. So I'm going to copy some text and then I'm going to use it. Then I'm going to share with you. So I'm going to remove this. I have taken some text from about University of Peradeniya. University of Peradeniya. So this is header. And then I have taken some text here. I will paste. Okay. Too much, but I think it's okay. Maybe, yeah, I can keep it. I actually copy pasted the text from the Wikipedia. So let me make, this is my first paragraph. Let me say P. Right. And then I'm going to end this with /P. That is my first paragraph. Then P. Right. And then this is my second paragraph /P. You need some text. So hope you can copy paste from somewhere. I have taken some text about Peradeniya. Right, now let me refresh this. You can notice that how it look like, right? So you can notice that this is my level 1 header, H1, and this is my first paragraph. This is my second paragraph. Right. Maybe I can share with you in the chat so that you can use the same if you want. Put in the chat. Right. This is my page number 3. Unfortunately, uh, too much text. I have removed some. Maybe I will remove some text and see. Okay. Oh, yes. I have removed some part of the text. Unfortunately, it's not fixed in the chat. So let's switch to the next set of tags. Let's focus on the bold and italics. So bold stand for B/B. We can make the characters into bold face, and similar to that, this can be used to highlight the text. Then we can have I stand for italics. We can appear in italics form, right? So ideally, when you want to represent some technical terms, names, so you can make it italics, right? Display in a slightly different way. Okay. Okay. So let's move on. We'll use the same text here. I'm not going to create anything, any new page, but I'm going to highlight some of the things, right? For example, here we have University of Peradeniya. So maybe I will highlight this. So I'm going to select University of Peradeniya here. I will put a bold. I will say B, the start of University of Peradeniya. And then after that, I will say, okay, /B. I'm going to save it, refresh it. You can notice that now maybe I can increase the font size. Okay, so you can notice now University of Peradeniya, it's in bold, bold text, right? So then similar way, wherever you want to highlight, you can use. So that's bold. Um, it says University of Peradeniya is a public university. So let me highlight that public university using italics. So maybe I will put italics. So I will put I here. It's a public university. And let me say /I. So let me say, let me refresh. Now you can notice that, okay, public university in using italics. So whenever you want to highlight part of this, you can use this. Okay, for example, maybe I can use, okay, Sri Lanka. I can use italics. Okay, and maybe /I. Funded by UGC. Maybe I can say I, University Grant Commission. Maybe /I. Right, let me save. Let me refresh. Now you can notice that I have italicized public university, Sri Lanka, and University Grant Commission. Okay, right. So small, if you likewise, if you enclose small, then the text appear using small font. Then sub is subscript text. Sub, you can use that, for example, H2O. 2 should be subscript. Superscript, like if you want to say, today is 6th of July, 2025. Right, maybe I can show you these two, right? I'm going to use the same page. Right, same. I'm going to have a new paragraph. Maybe I will put P here, /P. slash B. I will put a date. So I'm going to say it's like a date today is, I'm going to say 6th July 2025, right? Now, if you save this and if you visualize this is how it look like. Now, then you need to put this into superscript. So you can put sup superscript and slash sup. So let me save, file save. Okay, so this is 6th, right? Similar to that, if you want to make it a subscript, that you can use it as well. I will type it here as well. Maybe I'll put a simple text H2O. So if I display this, save, and if you refresh, it just shows you like this. But if you go on to have a subscript, you can say sub, and you can say slash sub. Save it, refresh it. Okay, this is how it looks like. Now there's something came up with whether you can type without any paragraph text. Yes, it's possible. But something you need to understand this is if you type something like this freely, and if you save it, and if you refresh it, everything will be in the same line. The reason is you have to exactly tell or use tags to say that how you need to display. Now, for example, if you want to say that, okay, this line should be in a one line and the other line should be the other line, you have to explicitly tell there should be a break here. So when you insert break, then it will break the line. So let me show you. When you use BR, now you can notice it goes to the next line. And you don't have a space. Remember, here we have a space, but you don't have any space. So you have to be very specific on this. So for example, if you need a space, you have to put a BR again. So let me show you, like putting another BR. So this will indicate that we have two breaks. Okay, now you can see a space. Hope you understand how it look like. Even here, if you put spaces, you have to explicitly tell, right, how to put spaces. Otherwise, it will separate with just one space. So there are special characters we have to use. For example, this is the character we have to use if you need extra space. So let me say I'm going to have 3 extra space. Then only you will get a space, right? Make a note of this, how we may actually use spacing and also the displaying this. So this is the thing that we need to understand. So depend on our requirement, we have to use appropriate HTML tags. So let me use 3 paragraphs. University of Peradeniya slash P. P University with lot of spaces of Peradeniya. P University of lot of spaces Peradeniya. Right, let me save this. Let me refresh. You can notice there's no change. The number of spaces we call white spaces doesn't matter. It will display just one space. So this is called white space collapsing. in HTML, we say that this is called white space collapsing. Even you can go this into a next line. Let me put like this, put this in the next line like this. Doesn't matter. No change. It displays as it is. So if you want to make a break, then you have to put a break. For example, here, if you want to say University of Peradeniya, you want to go Peradeniya into the next line, you have to put a break here. Ideally, you can say break slash like this as well. I think I have mentioned this earlier, right? BRO slash BR. So if you save this, refresh, okay, now you can notice. So make a note of this one as well, use of this. So one thing I also want to explain is the use of horizontal rules. We call HR or HR slash. This is to since okay, why this format is basically compared to open and close tag. We don't have close tag per se, so then you might use like this. Right now, putting into a horizontal line, you can use as a separator. Whenever you want to separate content, you can use HR. Now, for example, here we have paragraph. Let me put HR, right? And then if you refresh it, you can notice that there's a horizontal line which separates the content. So this is simply we use HR to separate the content. You have a rule, so you can separate things like this. Right. Okay. There are other elements as well. There are many elements. So the the tags we have discussed so far, we call semantic. That means it will not affects the structure. Now, so far what we have discussed is a structure. Now, for example, we use bold, we have italics, right? So these are like shows the structure. But then there are some semantic elements. Semantic means the meaning. So there are some tags we use. They might not visually shows you anything, but they will treat or work different. Now, for example, there are tags called EM, and then block quote, right? So these are sometimes will not use to structure, but they will behave differently. Now, for example, we have some screen readers, right? Nowadays, there are like read the text. So whenever you have a situation like this, when it raises extra web pages, we can use this to make emphasis, right? For example, if you use EM, now let me show you like how it works. Maybe I will put, okay, so maybe let me take a new file. So I'm going to say save as, let me say page number 4. Let me open page number 4. So now I have 4 pages, right? I will remove this part. So I will remove, okay, so this part, right? Let me save, refresh. Let me remove one paragraph as well. so that I can share with you. Right, let me share the code for you. This is my page number 4. Right. So let me save, let me refresh, and this is what I have. Now, I'm going to show you like couple of tags now, especially these are called semantic tags. For example, I can use, let's say it is the largest university in Sri Lanka. So let me put it here, largest. It is the, so I will say EM here, right? Now this is called emphasis slash EM, right? Let me save, let me refresh. And you can use, see that when I use emphasis, it's also shows you in italics forms, right? It shows you italics, but remember that some of the readers will put more emphasis when they notice this one. That's why it says semantic, uh, tags. Similar to that, you can use strong as well. So, for example, here we have a University of Ceylon. So I will say strong. And then we'll say slash strong. Let me save it. It shows it in bold color, right? Uh, the ideally, it shows you that it's strong important, right? It shows in bold, but it's not, we are not using strong to say whenever you want to show is in bold. But whenever you use some other application like screen reading, you will see the difference, right? In browser, you might not see the difference here. So there are many elements like this. If you want to highlight somebody, talks about this, you can use quotes for this. We use two um, elements like block quote or Q. So we can use, block quote for this if you want to highlight. Similar to that, there are some elements like ABBR for abbreviations. We have citations, definitions. So likewise, there are few things we can use. So I'm not going to discuss everything, but I hope you can have a look at those. Right, going back to the slide again. So we discuss about the basic elements and we have understood how we can use them in structuring the elements. And we also discuss the semantic tags very briefly. And we discuss strong and emphasis, how they look like and what is the purpose of using this. Right. So that's something that we have actually discussed this. Okay, now the next one, I want you to discuss about the styling attributes. We will discuss this separately in CSS as well, but just to show you, like sometimes whenever you want to change the color, change the font, change the size, change the alignment, we can actually use the style attribute. Ideally, we will use to give a style. Okay, Savindu asked, semantic tag means giving more meaning to the content. Yes, exactly. So, for example, when you convert text to speech. Nowadays, you might have noticed, right? We have text to speech. So if you use that for a read your web page, so it'll read the content you use with the strong and emphasis will be different. They have put more emphasis when they are reading. That's the exact point I want to highlight. Okay, so going back to the style attributes, so you can use it to change the styles. So this could be applied for irrespective of tag. You can use it for headers, you can use it for paragraphs, and so on. So that's why we put it the tag name and a style. Ideally, you can have two parts. You have a property and then you have a value. Now, for example, the property could be the background color, and the value could be the color that you want to specify. Then when you say color, that you specify the text color, right? Then you have font family, font size, text align. That means whether you want to align it to the left, the middle, the right, whether you want to have a board as well. So let me briefly show you the use of this. But before that, I think let's look at color information as well. Right. And then if you want to have some comments, I hope you are familiar with the comments in programming. That actually not displayed, but for your information, then you can have angle bracket, exclamation, and double dashes, and whatever you type will not be displayed to the user. So this is the open tag and this is the closed one. So ideally, it's slightly different way that actually it represents that. This is how we represent the comments. Okay, this is what I want to discuss before we talk about the styling, the color representation. Now, one thing we need to understand is how colors are represented. There are various ways that you can specify colors. You can use the color name like red, blue, black, or you can use some numbers. You might learn this later on, but let me give you some ideas. Now, first of all, the color, representation, we need to understand what color modes they are referring to. In HTML, normally colors are represented using a color mode called RGB. R stand for red, G for green, B for blue. So any color you can represent by mixing these three colors. That's what it means. The color mode means how colors are represented using the three primary colors, red, green, and blue. Especially in screens, we use red, green, and blue, right? But we know that by combining these, you can create other colors. So ideally, by combining other colors, by combining these three colors, you can create other colors, right? So maybe I will show you this with Paint, for example. I hope you have the Paint program with you. So I'm going to open up Paint. So here is my Paint. And then you can go to this symbol, edit colors. Okay, so you will see something like this. Okay, notice that we have RGB, that is the color mode. We have red, green, and blue. So ideally, color representation, they use the bits. That is the amount of colors that we are going to use. Ideally, they use 8 bits, which represent 256 levels of colors. So 0 means you don't have any, but if you say 255, that's a maximum. You can notice that our color bar turns into red. That's the maximum red you can have, right, for the time being. Similar to that, if you put like 255 here, that's the maximum green, right? And then this is 255, that is maximum blue. So you can see how colors are created. But ideally, that means, I told you like we are using 3 different colors, red, green, and blue. And the levels goes from 0 to 255, 0 being the lowest level and 255 is the highest level. So by combining the two colors, for example, if you combine, those who know arts, you know, if you mix red and blue, you get purple, right? So likewise, we can create any color. So you can notice that this is in hexadecimal values. So FF actually represent the number 255 in decimal. So the first two letters represent the red value. The next two letters represent the green value. The last two letters represent the blue value. Now, for example, if you put 00 here, that means red. We have red maximum, blue minimum, sorry, green minimum, blue minimum. Similar to that, if you have FF at the end, so that's what we mean. Red is minimum, green is minimum, blue is maximum. So this is the other representation. Right, okay. So I hope you got the idea. You don't have to really worry about it. Whatever you click the color, you will get a hexadecimal number like this. You can use that if you need any color in your background or the foreground. That's something that you need to understand. Okay. Going back to colors, as I told you earlier, you can specify the name of the color, or you can specify this hexadecimal number, or simply you can specify RGB in bracket in this form as well. But these are two common ones. So let me briefly show you how you may use this. Right, going back to my uh, code. So for example, let's say we have H1, right? And then I told you like you have to say, um, how should I say? If you want to specify H1 in red color, right? So you can say H1, you have type style, right? And then you will say double quotes like this. The first part, you have the property, then you have the value. The property is the color, right? And then the value is red. So you can put it like this. So if I save this, refresh, this is how it look like. I will repeat what I did here. So I have a style, that is the attribute. And then I have two properties. So this is the property, that is the color of the text. And we are putting in red color. Right. Try this, and then I'll talk about more on this. Okay, let's take another example. Okay, we have background color. So that means we are setting background color, and then that's a property. And the value is will give another different color, right? So shall we try that? Background color. Okay, maybe then I'll go back to my code again. Right, so this time we have what? Okay, I'll go to P paragraph. Going to change the style, 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 background color. I'll say yellow. Oh, did I make a mistake? Oh, yes, I forgot to double quotes here. Yes, you can notice. For the paragraph background color, I have switched to yellow. Right now, similarly, if you want to make it two, maybe we can use style. I will say color is red, background color is yellow. So you know that. So the right now we have used just names, but you can use the numbers, right? We discuss, we can use numbers. So let me try to give you some colors. So here we have red, right? That's the color. So let me use hash. Let me use 6527, let's say BE. Let me refresh. You can see I'm getting a different color. Background also, let me put another color. Let me say hash A7EDE7. You see, you can take any color. Like how do I know? Like you can check in the pane, for example. You can select two different colors like this. So ideally, um, we normally match colors, right? So hope you understood like how we may actually use them. Now, the other point is when we are looking for styles, you can change uh, the 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 font as well. Right now, we are using default font. Maybe I will choose that one. So now I hope you are remember about the color red, right? So likewise, let's change the font family. So I'm going to say cursive. I'll put a semicolon here. Okay, maybe cursive is not working in my case. I don't know whether I have made a mistake. Maybe I can use something else. Font dash family, that's okay. And then let's see, dancing script. Another one. It's not. Let me check some default font. Maybe I will use something already available. Let me put. Okay, now it's working. I was trying to use some fancy font and it didn't work out. But I think you get the point here. So I'm changing the font family to Verdana. It's something commonly available. So maybe you can check that so that everybody can get this one. Okay, right. So that's about the font family. What else we discuss? Going back to the slide, background color, font family, font size, you can check. Okay. Font size. And text align. Okay, maybe I can quickly finish that one as well. We have um, defined the font sizes. Maybe the date, I can say font size. That says background yellow. Let me put font size here. Font size. Let me put a small one like 12 pixels. Ideally small. Let me see. Yes, you can see the date is in the small size. What else we have? We have font color, font family, font size. Okay, alignment. So that we have to use text align of we have text align. So I'm going back. Let's say we put the date. Going back to the date here, we have font align. I will say text align, right? And then we'll say, okay, center. So we actually request to center line. Okay, you can notice that I have aligned it to the center. Right. So the last one is having a border. Um, so that also I will give, and we can finish for today then. So we have text align center. Okay, maybe I'll put a border. Okay, maybe here. Right. We'll say border. We have to say like border means like we are going to have a draw a box like this. You have to say the thick of this. I'm going to say 1 pixels solid black. You can specify color as well. 1 pixel, yes, border 1 pixel solid. You say solid and black. So let me see. Yes, you can notice here. So for example, let me be 3 pixels. Okay, now you got it. Let me share everything for you. So I have shared everything that what I have done. Okay, so with this one, I think we'll conclude for today. We discuss very basic HTML, the document structure, basic HTML text, and also some of the properties. So the next week we can discuss more detail into this and talk about a little bit of advanced HTML, creating lists, tables, and so on. So I think we got the basics now. I think at least now you understood the importance of use of HTML elements in structuring the web page, right?